Welcome to Riverbend Talon on WBGZ. Brought to you by the Halpin Music Company.
Another Thursday night in the Riverbend, another Riverbend Talent brought to you by the Halpin Music Company and by Mr. Matt Van Voorhis of Macias Insurance. Sea Shanty Sing-Along already underway up at Morrison's Irish Pub. Open mic tonight at the Conservatory. They moved the Wednesday night open mic to Thursday nights now, and that gets underway at 7:30. Cross the line, underway at Fast Eddie's until 10. Logan Chapman underway at George's Pub and Grill in Jerseyville until 9 o'clock. The Hard Promises, Tom Petty tribute, 7:30 at the Wild E Theater in Edwardsville. We got Ryan Holting at the Cabin at Judy Creek until 9 o'clock. Hunter Sharp underway at Prairie Inn in Dorsey until 8:30, and of course, Experience Live Music Row. Each and every day of the week practically down there in Belleville, and I only put that there to see how many times in a row I can say that over the how many years now? Big Ben?
Got to be over 2 years, easy. It's got to be going over 2 years on the Belleville. What's it called again? Live Music Row. I spaced out that. I pre-gamed a little heavy. I forgot what we were talking about. So
the reason we get excited about the Experience Live Music Row, the community comes together. They got a sponsor, and all the venues work together to create one experience right down there in Belleville. It's sort of like a festival.
It
is.
And
Pigpen, you know how hard it is to put on festivals. And
it's a lot of work. And we bring this one up. We've been talking about it for 2 years because anybody who's ever thrown even one festival understands it's work. There's a lot that goes behind it.
What if you're going to throw one in the middle of January, like January 11th? I know this one dude from Granite City that did that a few times. Happy Trails.
Fools.
Yeah.
Right? Sounds like a ship of fools to me.
Yeah. Marshall, that's got to be 4 or 5 years back now.
Yeah.
When the first one, I can't remember exactly the year of the first Happy Trails, but we'd never met Marshall in Gracia before, and we heard about his festival, brought him in to promote it. And he's one of many Granite City transplants that have born and raised Granite City, and for some reason that Miles Davis calls to them. They hear the trumpet echoing down the river. I don't know.
We got the beautiful brand new venue down there now, though, the Mill, and Spillie Nelson. They might know something about festivals by now.
Spillie Nelson. We got Jared Humphrey, the hideous gentleman. I mean, there's quite a few Granite City transplants, and Spillie, Josh Witt from Spillie Nelson. You are one of those many Granite boys that have moved down the river.
I have been called worse, buddy. Believe me.
I said down the river. You moved up the river.
Yeah, I did move up the river. Yeah. I am native to Granite, though. I lived there until I moved out of the house and joined the military when I was 18.
Joined the military.
Thank you for your service.
Which branch?
Navy.
Navy.
Yeah.
A couple Navy boys.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, there you go. You guys need to take leave together.
Yeah.
We're going to Thailand.
Heck yeah, buddy.
All right.
Me buy you air-conditioned helicopter.
That's the Philippines, but we'll go there too.
Whatever. It's all good. It's all good.
We'll make our trip around. We'll do the Westpac.
Right, for sure.
Well, look, I didn't mean to get them mixed up, and I don't want to come off in any way sounding racist, but I'm going to say I was at the store the other day looking at TVs, and there was a Toshiba, a Samsung, a Sony, and I can't tell those Asian TVs apart. They all look alike.
Right.
Oh, that was wrong. What did he say that? No. I'm saying the boss is on vacation. He can't hear. He don't know.
No, he's not listening. Hey, where's he at? In the Poconos?
I think down in Florida somewhere. So, which they're getting snow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We got a picture from my wife's friend who has a condo in the Panhandle of Florida, and it's snowing on her deck.
Yep.
Which Louisiana getting snow. These people, they're not ready for it.
No.
They don't have salt.
No.
They're freaking out, man.
Dude, we go there in the winter and it's 70 and they're all wearing hoodies and stuff and sweatpants, and they're like, it's cold. I'm like, know nothing about cold, man. Go out and fix the pipes on your pool because your pool's draining out because it got so cold for so long that it cracked.
Right.
Let's not bring that up, Josh.
I'm salty. I'm salty.
You were talking about, before we came on, you guys were pond hockey.
Yeah, Josh has a pond in his front yard, and I said, is that frozen all the way? He goes, well, the kid's been playing on it all week. I said, I'm bringing my skates over.
Oh, yeah.
Took the skates over, got on there. He come outside yesterday. He goes, I guess I got to get my skates on, huh? We didn't leave the ice for 5 hours.
That you know, how frozen over it is, because if you pull out of his driveway, you go straight across, you're on Wood School?
Yeah.
There, and if you follow that around, eventually it turns into Vonneman and it's staring straight across Harris at a pond that used to be my grandpa's. And my uncle, ice skating there in like the 50s, fell through it. And, you know, trapped under ice, as Metallica would say. Nobody needs that action, boys.
No.
Test the ice.
No, we did. Well,
Test
so
the ice.
I learned my lesson because when I was young, my stepdad made me do a core. There was a lake by us that froze every year. And he was like, you got to bring me a core sample.
Yeah, you got to see how thick that ice really is.
It has to be at least 4 inches.
That's what she said.
And I measured it.
Family show, Josh. Come on, bro.
I measured it. And
he laid down flat on his belly on the ice and measured.
She said it didn't look like 12 inches, but it smelled like a foot. And I was like,
see, he said he measured it. It's all how you measure. You got to remember to multiply by yaw at the end. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, no, there's an equation. It's like girth units or something. I don't know.
Sure, man. So you guys doing a little? You brought up the pool's freezing. I'll be honest, mine is. It looks like an ice rink. It looks like I could go out but I'm scared.
Oh, I forgot you got that nice in there.
Well, you know, and it looks like a little pond, right?
I forgot.
It's like a frozen
We're going
pond
over to
right
his
now.
house this summer. That's a note.
Note to
Party
self.
at Pigpen's.
Note to self. Party at Pigpen's
forgot.
all summer.
He
all
accidentally-
summer.
he accidentally
The first time I
gave
was
me a
at your
gander.
house, a snake crawled up my leg. So
You know what? I remember that, and if I remember, it might have been like a little copperhead or
it
something
might have been,
weird,
but I
which
had to get rid of it quickly.
I had been the woods on the backside. I had been just tearing out that wood, so like we were getting so many critters and so many. I didn't mean to displace all these animals, but like, you know, I ain't getting a little snake checks for rent at the end of the month. So you know, anyway, so let's get back to the whole coming down from Granite City, because we're here to talk about a festival.
Yeah, and I want to kind of interject with this is kind of third time the charm. Third time's a charm for you, Josh.
Yeah.
You attempted one in the summertime.
Hey.
Right? And then you attempted one January 11th.
I thought we were going to talk about my new new Calvin Klein commercial. I didn't know we were here to talk about Spillie Nelson. No,
I just want to say.
Well, one more shot. Sunday,
so
right?
Listen, I
at
do
the
have another
mill.
shot. You're right. And
well, first of all, let's clear up the misinformation that you attempted.
Well, I wanted to get right to the plug.
A festival,
Granite
in the summer.
PaLooza 2025 Music, Crafts, and Arts Festival with Fleetwood and Family, Hideous Gentlemen, Lofty's Comet, High Idol Band, and Spillie Nelson with DJ BDK between bands.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at the mill on Sunday.
There's a correction
now you can
in there.
get into your stories.
there is a correction in there just straight
Okay.
out the gate, because while people are listening, you just right off the list.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get Fleetwood and Family on
for
because of the postponing.
For the reschedule, yeah.
For the reschedule, and it was really a bum deal on both ends, and we talked about it. But the bottom line was there's going to be many more, and well, of course their family. We wish they could be there, but it just didn't work out. But there was other entities and other vendors and a whole other thing that did work out. So we didn't have too many casualties at the end, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, Fleetwood was one of them. Love you guys, Fleetwood. Shout out to Fleetwood family.
When you reschedule a festival with multiple bands and vendors, it's almost impossible that you're going to get 100% of those people on the reschedule.
We
day,
did
'cause
get
so many-
95 though.
But and like you say, it's a tough
We got
tough
lucky,
loss
you know what I mean?
with Fleetwood and Family, because Rich was a part of Spillie.
And we were at a crossroad where we're like, let's do another date. And and originally there was another date, but then it got off the table really quick, and that worked good for him. But the one we landed on, it didn't, and it worked really good for everybody else. So we had to make an executive decision to not shut it down and move forward. But however, he's a heavy hitter. He's a brother of ours. So
absolutely, as I say, Rich was a member of Spillie when I first
original
met.
founding
When I
member.
first met you
His whole
guys.
family.
Well, I don't know.
found him.
I think I met you during the original lineup of Spillie in the early days there. Now you did actually you attempted as Dennis said, to do your Under the Stars at your campground over the summer.
I did.
Which is called the Bear Den, correct? Is that,
Yes.
Did I get the name right?
You did. You got it right.
I call it something else. I can't say what I call it on there.
Yeah.
We'll get turned into that. No,
We'll
I'm just
talk about
kidding.
that after when we're off here.
No, it's,
you can call it whatever you want, but it's called the Bear Den officially.
Yeah, and as we were saying, it's sort of right where Wood Station, bumps into not Wolf.
Yeah, it's Wolf Road.
It is
Wolf
That's
Road.
right. I forget since they changed all that when they took 255 in there, I get a little confused on Lobo
it's
versus
tucked back
Wolf.
there at the bottom of the hill there by the creek.
Yeah. And you have that property. You opened it up as a campground. It is I got the pleasure of checking it out as you did it.
Yeah, I remember you were right there when the real vital part of it happened.
It was insane to
He
watch.
showed up one day and was like, this is pretty cool. We had a lot of ideas, and he showed up the next day, and it was a completely different place.
24 hours later.
Yeah, 24 hours later.
I kind of
yeah.
It was how much work had been done in 24 hours, especially because while I was there the day before, we mainly sat around and talked. We talked about big plans.
Yeah.
But once I left, actual work went down.
Well, you had a bird's eye view of it too, and there was only an elite few of us that were like part of the crew that really helped develop it. And you definitely got to witness it firsthand. That was a cool idea and cool.
So
unfortunately, we couldn't get the licensing to do anything really big with overnight camping. The neighbors and stuff, for rightful reasons, wouldn't. They kind of went against us being boarded or zoned as an area that could have music festivals and stuff like that.
Well,
so we had to move it to the VFW, which the Cottage Hills VFW, which or not Cottage Hills, but
Brighton.
Brighton, yeah.
Brighton VFW, which is kind of like it's in Godfrey.
Yeah,
it's barely in.
And
Brighton.
we're gonna do it again, and that is very likely where we're gonna do it. But there's still negotiations happening. But
that was a great time. I actually was bummed. My wife got sick, and I had to. It was one of those like
I remember that.
A couple bands after I left.
I remember you
I
saying
had to go. I had to go home and.
You did the right thing. The younger you might not have done that, man. We get older, we learn.
Yeah. She loves to tell the story of the younger me walking her out of Alpine Valley because she didn't feel good and leaving her in a van while I went and finished watching the Dead play.
So, well, I mean, if you were at a Dead concert now, that's a little different.
It was being broadcast on the radio. I turned the radio on for her.
Yeah.
I left her with a puke bag.
Right.
What do you want?
Right.
Anyway, so as a person who does have property in Fosterburg, I got to say we don't need a Woodstock out. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we don't.
I think the way you handled that, whenever the neighbor said, "Look, we don't want you to have overnight camping music festivals here," okay. The younger you might not have handled it so
No,
well.
you're right. And the older me is like, I got to live with these people.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You're cohabitating with these people from here until somebody sells.
It is really about approaching it. God, I get all hippity-dippity on you. But it really is about approaching it with love and not hate.
Yeah,
and not
absolutely.
building hate for opinions. Everybody can have their own opinion. And so that's what it boiled down to. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to do this with my neighbors. I'm going to agree with them. I'm going to nurture that idea. I'm even going to express to them how I feel about it. I agree with them. And I
if
took
they
the time
wanted,
out with each individual one to explain that to them. You know what I mean?
If your neighbor next to you wanted to open a 24-hour gun range,
I'd be like, no.
Because you're never going to sleep. Shotguns are going off all night.
Absolutely not.
So it's the same thing. We always like to believe that we're right, but really what's right
I still
is
am
learning how to get
chasing a
along.
dream, though, that was born when I was younger. So I still have a lot of young ethics in it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Well, look, we don't have to grow up. We just have to grow old.
yeah,
we
yeah.
don't ever have to
Apparently,
grow up.
it's not growing old. Apparently, your extended warranty finally goes out and your parts start going out. That's apparently because your mind doesn't.
And at some point, they quit making the parts for your
But
for your model.
you were obsolete when you were born.
Right. Stem cells.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, anyway, hey, so it ended up being a great festival. It wasn't even you didn't even put Under the Stars wasn't even called a festival. It was an outdoor experience, which the way you had set out to do it, where nobody had to bring anything, food was supplied for the ticket, everything was supplied. I liked that idea because you get to come in with basically just your chair, your tent.
And we did that potluck on Saturday, and everybody brought food. It was awesome.
So that ended up working out. That was great. And now you're going home. You're going back to Granite City.
Yeah.
And doing it. You had this set up for January 11th. The weather had different plans.
Sure did. And it was funny a while ago because you were talking about how Marshall throws festivals, and you were like, Jay, who throws a festival January 11th? And I was like, Ship of Fools, because I thought he was talking about us.
Yeah.
So just to clarify that, I was like, me. I tried to do one January 11th. You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah. So We had to postpone it just because.
Had to postpone it. Ended up getting all the bands except Fleetwood, who had a conflict. Got all your vendors back, so it's still going to be the same lineup minus the Fleetwood fellas.
Yeah, we got a whole list of vendors, man. There's like 25 vendors.
What's the date on that? It's
the
Sunday.
26th. It's this Sunday.
That is this Sunday, the 26th.
Still 2 o'clock. We're starting on that.
Yep, 2 o'clock start time.
You need a band to fill in for Fleetwood?
You know what we actually did was, so it's hard to replace them.
Oh yeah,
So
I
we
didn't. I
didn't-
didn't say we would be good like him.
We
I just said,
didn't.
do you need a band? I didn't say, do you need a good? I didn't say, do you need a band as good as Fleetwood?
First of all, Sean, which I think somewhere in your band you probably qualify this, but you do have to be from Granite somewhere in there. The band has to be.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's why it's called Granite PaLooza.
Right.
You also have to have played with Spillie Nelson, apparently. 'Cause every member of the band, one member at least, has played with us at one point in time.
But that's a side agenda I didn't know about that happened materialistically, or happened, you know.
You don't have to have played with Spillie. You have to have played with at least one member of Spillie
There you go,
at
yeah.
some
Right,
time.
right, and then your official Spillie family. It's that easy.
There you go. There you go. It's like the Dead. It's an extended family. Yeah.
So we decided not to fill the spot. Plus, it's a Sunday. Nobody wants to stay out till 10 o'clock on Sunday. So we went ahead and just moved the bands up an hour, and we're just going to end it earlier. So the last note is at 8:30.
There you go.
So
Yeah. So
then
you
people
still
can
yeah.
still experience the whole thing from start to finish and still make it home in time to go to bed.
and make it up
know
in
what I mean?
time for work, no problem. Without yeah, I've noticed that. I noticed it with festivals, and I remember 2021 when we had Frasco. I was wishing I would have done the same thing. Where a lot of festivals, whoever their like biggest name headliner isn't last anymore. There's always maybe a band, even 2 bands. Peach Fest, when we went out there a couple years ago, every big name, there were a band or 2 before the end because a lot of people are old. And you want to keep the party going for those people who do want to go till 1 or 2 a.m. But a lot of people our age, or even older.
Those guys got to be present, though.
I'm never present.
However, you do have the engaging opportunity that Frasco has with his fans. That's very strong. So like somebody like Frasco, no matter when they play, should have people standing in front of them. You know what I mean?
When we had him on, I interviewed him for this to have him on this show, and he was talking about coming to Framley Fest. He goes, "Oh, we're coming right off Bonnaroo. We're so psyched." And I said, "Dude, just take it down a notch. You're playing Bonnaroo the weekend before, and it's going to be amazing. And then you're coming to my place. There's going to be like 20 of us probably." And he goes, "You know what? We played Red Rock, sold out, and the next gig we played was at a bar with 50 people, and we put out as much energy for those 50 as we did for all of Red Rock."
That's what I mean. He's got a unique thing where he's no matter where he's at or what he's doing, he's always like, that's just him. You know what I mean? He's not really he's not an act. That's just how he is. You know what I mean? That's what's cool about him is he's just a regular guy. You know what I mean?
And all of those guys are like we were talking before we went on. Sean Eccles, the guitar player, he's from Springfield, Missouri, and he used to play in St. Louis in the 90s with Speakeasy. They were like Frasco. They were high energy. Without all these guys seem to have met, their drummer. His uncle was an Oingo Boingo. I mean,
I remember them.
They come. They're a wild bunch, dude. That's Danny Elfman. He wrote the Simpsons theme. Danny Elfman wrote everything, didn't he? I don't know. But anyway, all those guys came from this sort of high energy, intense situations, and they all found their perfect surface.
Sure.
Just like you guys all came from this weird psychedelic place, and you all found your perfect.
Yeah. So oddly enough, the music does bring us together. You know what I mean? And what's cool about bringing it's a unique relationship that you build with other musicians because there's an honesty and a truth to what you're doing that there's not really any way to like cover it up. You know what I mean? So like when you meet some people you jive with musically, it's like a really unique relationship. It's nurtured in a different way than if you was to just meet some cats playing, and you don't really have anything in common. This is a really strong bond. You know what I mean? Well,
and we've gone through this conversation over the past 10 years where there are some bands that you can be in a band 7-8 years and you almost don't know the guys because all you do is play music every time you see them. Because life gets busy and you're trying to wrangle 4 or 5 guys and you've only got so much time and then there's other bands I've been in where you spend as much time hanging out and talking sitting around campfires, sitting around, where it is, as you say, one of the most unique and tight bonds. And like, I got my wife to start playing music because it does add this extra level of, there's this other thing we do together now. Yeah. Sure, we play cards, we watch movies, we go see concerts, we travel, we camp, but now we got this other thing that we do.
It's a strong thing. Like, it's not like, it's very personal. And it's artistic and creative, and like it's vulnerable, and it's all those things, and like it's just fun to do. You know what I mean?
And one of the most beautiful parts about music to me is like I say, I got my wife to play. She doesn't care to be some great phenomenal bass player. She's embarrassed to play in front of people because everybody that comes around her house have been playing a long time. Right. And the thing is, we talk about it. It's a language, and some people speak the language amazingly, and some people are just learning to talk. But that doesn't mean you ignore them. You don't ignore a baby and go, well, I'll talk to you when you learn to talk someday. Right, yeah, you look at them and you go, goo, goo, gaga. You get down to their level, and it's the same way musically.
Is that how you talk to bass players?
It is exactly how I talk to. It is exactly how I talk to bass players. Goo, goo, gaga.
Oh, Nick, Nick, look out, dude! Our bass player's got another thing coming, man.
I couldn't help myself.
Look, hey,
goo, goo, gaga, Nick. He'll be like, yeah, and he'll play it.
Oh, you want a goo goo gaga feel? I got it. But you know what I mean. What I mean is, music is one of these beautiful things that you could dedicate your life to it, spend every second studying it and working on it, and you're still never going to you're not going to master it. There's still something out there you haven't done, or you can learn 3 chords and have the most fun anybody's ever had, and not. And it's one of these beautiful things. You don't have to be great at it to enjoy it.
For me, there's a point where I had to go, all right, this is what I got now. I'm going to start making some music. Instead of always being like trying to learn how to play music, there was eventually a point where I had to finally just play some music. You know what I mean?
Well, and so, that's a lot of people don't understand that. They think, well, you have to either be born with some natural talent, or you have to put years of school into it. No, not really. You just pick up an instrument and start doing it at some level.
I have met people that have no timing. I'm sorry. I'm going to put that out there.
What?
Is that how you talk to drummers?
Listen. I knew you were here for a reason.
Well,
Phil Collins is rolling over in his grave right now.
Once again,
too soon.
He only speaks, and when he does, it just makes so much sense. You are correct. Him and I were talking about how he was watching this interview, and these motorcycle guys on this motocross, they were like doing the interview, and he's like, "Yeah, I come around like hit the
give him a little rap.
I was like, he's like, they're talking a language,
talk
man.
Like that too.
They're speaking to.
They're speaking
they
two
know
cycle.
what all them little sounds mean.
They're speaking 2 cycle, man.
You know what I'm talking about?
I took a 2 cycle class at the Learning Annex. Tried to learn how to speak it, but not work on them. Just talk.
You get it, man.
I'm not very good, but
we are talking about Granite PaLooza taking place Sunday, a music, craft, and art festival with a Hideous Gentleman, Lofty's Comet, High Idol Band, and Spillie Nelson, who we're talking to right now. Also, DJ BDK.
Also,
between
Billy
bands.
Walker, a.k.a. BDK.
Billy Walker.
Right.
And that starts at 2 o'clock at the Mill.
Whiskey.
That starts at 2 o'clock at the Mill in Granite City. And, so that's taking place Sunday. I just want people to know where to go, Pepe. I'm used to you cutting me off. That's normal.
In traffic, I do it. I do it everywhere. at the lunch line.
We got 20+ vendors, artesian vendors, that are local at some point. Some of them do stretch out to like Potosi, Missouri and stuff, but they're all some sort of craft. And what's unique about it is none of them are all doing the same thing. Like there's only one tie-dyer, there's only one glass blower, there's only one honey person, there's only one crocheter. So you're not saturated with a whole bunch of you're not going to walk down and see 14 grilled cheese stations.
All right.
You know what I mean?
I'm kind of bummed because I like a choice in my grilled cheese.
Listen now. You can now your food. You're talking food. We got Franco's dogs and brats, and then we got Big G's grilled cheese. So
now Franco's is that Ewing?
I'm not sure who it is.
No,
the mill.
that's
Mr.
Steve's.
Ray Warren was in charge of the booking of the vendors. Shout out to Ray, the guy that manages the mill. Thanks for working with us, buddy. You've been a gem. I appreciate you. He's been working with me through the whole change, and he's been an awesome guy to work with. So I highly recommend working with these guys.
Cool.
Which when you guys had to cancel 2 weeks ago, having it at the mill, that's a tough place to reschedule because they're booked out months in advance.
They're
Yes,
slamming
they
it right
And not
now.
only that, but Ray is also a musician that plays
Right.
in a lot of different kinds of. From my understanding, he plays in a few different bands,
Right.
Yeah.
and so he's also really busy too. And I don't think that they're at the point where it's like there's multiple people running that place. From my understanding, if he can't do it, then the place just doesn't do anything yet. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So
They're-
I'm wrong, but I think he's pretty much in charge
Well,
of making sure.
I was going to say, my understanding since he took over, it's a skeleton crew taking over, that he's kind of single-handedly trying to keep it
It
running.
is.
However, they're like I walked through that place as it was being disconstructed from a church and built into the mill, and the plans that had been set forth from the beginning are really taking hold. Happy to see that place is really popping as good as it is because, man, it is a beautiful little spot there. Mini Rhine. That's what Parkinson's, the mayor,
That's what I was
told me
gonna
he was
say.
shooting for.
Give a shout out to Mayor
Yeah,
Mike
Mayor-
Parkinson, who had this vision way back before the place even opened.
I think he's
and
about to be up for re-election too, isn't he?
Well, and you know what
they
so I don't live in Granite City, so I'm speaking completely out of school. But what I do know is when I went down and he gave me a little tour of what he was trying to do, that city has always been a steel city. Granite City has been nothing but a steel city for all my life, and that's sort of over. I mean, not that it's completely dead, but like a lot of things, it's sort of on its way out. And he's got to reinvent this city. He's got a genius idea. It's 15 minutes from St. Louis. Let's make it an entertainment district.
Yeah.
And a lot of things have happened, including their Mardi Gras, which was huge the year before. So
yeah, and now the parade's going to stop right there, end
At the
right in
mill.
front of the mill, and they're going to have an after party there at the mill.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's working out great. He wanted
think so,
more.
yeah.
He wanted Granite to be a music town. And, like I said, this was prior to the mill even opening up that he came down here and laid out the entire story to us and then, invited Pigpen down. I see a lot of irony in this because when Pigpen was starting out doing festivals, he called it Jeff-a-Palooza.
Yeah.
And you guys are calling it Granite-Palooza.
Well, so
right?
oddly
and
enough,
it wasn't too far after Jeff-a-Palooza turned into Framley Fest that Spillie Nelson started showing up.
Hey, look, we kind of rub off on each other. don't
And the official name of the company that ran Framley Fest is Festi Stockapalooza.
Okay.
That is the official
There's
LLC.
a lot of losers in there.
Well, the attorney who helped me set that LLC up, he said, "So what's the name of it?" And I said, "Festi Stockapalooza, Palooza."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Explain that." And I'm like, "Well, Festi, it comes from festivals. Stock, Woodstock, the biggest, the one we're all chasing down trying to be. And a Palooza is an exaggerated event. It's
Right.
the definition of Palooza.
Right.
And I want to exaggerate everything as much as
So
I can."
oddly enough, we were talking about how Mayor Mike's been kind of moving into this whole idea and agenda. It's been supported from the 90s. Though, see, I didn't make up Granite Palooza. This isn't the first Granite Palooza.
Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Granite Palooza in the early 90s would take place at the KC Hall over there by Walmart
Wow. Okay.
in Granite, right there off of, what is that, Old Alton Road, I think.
At the Route 3 and yeah.
Right there, kind of almost uptown, but kind of over towards Route 3. But anyway, long story short, it was called Granite Palooza. And all the local, they were heavier, more like alternative bands, like grunge. Well, you're talking the early 90s, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it was called Granite Palooza. And I think they might have done 3 or 4 in there. And it was really big. A lot of people showed up. It was a really huge influence on me musically because I wasn't even playing music yet.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I mean, I was playing, but I wasn't playing in a band or anything. And so it really influenced me to want to be in a band. So when I was doing this vendor, we were trying to come up with an idea because really it's based around the vendors, the music as well. But we're trying to get that lull between when summer was over and fall came and it got too cold to the time when spring comes along and we can really get back out. There's nothing going on. These vendors are there's far few and in between where they set up.
Right.
So I was like, well, let's get together and smash these winter blues. We'll have some bands together, blah, blah, blah. What do you want to call it? Well, I think naturally we should call it Granite Palooza. And Jared Unfried, who's one of the main heads behind all this, because him and I were the ones seeking out the venue and just making, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. He was like, that's a great idea. Because think about it. And then he started naming off all the bands from Granite. I'm like, well, that's all of us anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it would have been nice to tap into some of the older bands that played in the 90s, but the only ones maybe that we might have been able to get together was the Playground Kings. Maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? Those are the only ones I really know that might be able to still do something. But so the nostalgia really wasn't there, but the names. So that's where it come from. So
you got to go back farther than the Playground Kings. Bonnie Bramlett.
That's true.
There you
That's
go.
way back.
There.
Well, let's see.
was
Who
like
else
15,
played? Grimace.
man.
I don't know if you remember Grimace. They were from Granite.
What I remember from Granite back in like the late 80s, early 90s was the Stages. And the Stages had some amazing shows come
Do you
through
know
that
what
little
Stages
place.
is? The old-
That's Madison, though, isn't it?
Yeah. But
Oh, is it officially Madison?
I think
we-
it
name of
is.
that place after
when they
Stages,
would
though.
run the commercials back in the day, they would say Stages in Granite City.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that saw some amazing shows in that place back in the day. So you guys all coming from Granite City down here. Andrew, you haven't said anything, but we've been eyeing each other all
I'm not
night.
from Granite.
Okay. Then just sit there quietly. Where do you
I just
hail
play
from?
drums.
Where do you hail from originally?
Originally, Alton. Alton
there
Godfrey.
you go.
But I reside in Jerseyville.
So here, Bonnie Bramlett was born here. What do you know? See, she just keeps coming up. Now, anyway, Alton is an awesome little music town, and I see why a lot of these Granite City boys like Jared and Marshall and Mr. Josh here come down here, because we do. For the size of a city this is, we have a poppin' music scene. Look at this, pages of stuff, and this really isn't that thick, because the winter it gets pretty.
Oh, I've been
thin.
here in the summertime where you guys had to start them at the beginning of the show just to
Yeah.
make sure you got through all of them.
and then we still start skipping them because
Yeah, we're to the point where we just have to skip because we want to talk more to the people who've taken the time to come down here and be a part of it. So
I get it.
and no one wants to hear a list. So we just kind of stop every once in a while, like right now, and say, Friday's coming up. We got all mixed up at Fast Eddie's and the Buzz Tones at the VFW in Alton, and Dave Horton down at the Moose and Wood River, and Levi and McAtee out of Bakers and Hale and Godfrey. That's all taking place. And then Cottage Hills, they're going to have Ronnie Flanagan at Grip and Sip, and Lana and Julie going to be out at Locke's Brick House in Bethalto. So just a few things that's going on. Tons of stuff happening in Edwardsville and down in Granite City, including comedy down in Granite City on a Friday night at Tegan's, who's done a few comedy shows. And we like to see the comedy shows because we kind of came to the conclusion that that's got to be the most difficult art to do. Get up in front of people and try to be funny.
Yeah.
You never know what mood
Sean's
that
just
audience
funny
is
looking.
in.
He's stand-up comedy in life. No, I'm just kidding.
you mean like Steve Buscemi funny looking, or
yeah.
or Gary Busey
No, like
funny looking?
like Arnold Schwarzenegger funny looking.
Arnold, let me kiss your baby. No, dude, Arnold's married to like Skeletor, isn't he?
Yeah,
or
I
one of the
think so.
Pirates of the Caribbean or something.
Something.
I don't know. Whew, she's spooky.
Is that Trump's wife too? No, I don't know.
All of them.
All of 'em.
Spooky stuff.
I'm Harry Potter.
You guys do shout-outs on here?
Oh, yeah, shout it
let's do
out.
So I seen him on the list, but I do want to give a shout-out to Graham Pagano
Okay.
from Hookie.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Because I went and seen him at George's in Jerseyville last week, and he let me come up and play a few songs and possibly turned into a gig for me. So
I will give a
I wanna
shout
give him
out.
a shout out.
I'll give a shout out to Andy, the owners of George's. I love that place. And Graham, not because he plays guitar, because he's a nice guy, but because he's not a selfish lover. That's basically why.
Well, since we're talking about George's, we got to give a shout out to Jay Hollinger, who's playing there Friday night.
Nice.
Right,
nice.
6 to 9.
And George's is one of these places, a little stage, usually just one, maybe two people. But
Great food.
Great food, great atmosphere, and
Where's this place at?
it's in Jerseyville.
George's
and,
what?
And,
One of Mad Van Voorhis' favorite places and to go. His office not too far from George's
Right.
Pub and Grill right there in Jerseyville. So.
the first time I can remember walking into George's recently, Matt Tall was in there, and he said, "Hey, what you're going to find coming here is whether there's live music or it's on the radio or coming over the speakers, It's always good music here. And so he's been right so far.
Okay.
So there you go. Shout out to those guys. What else we got going on?
Well, just
on this
go
fine
over a
day?
few more on a Friday night. It's Chris Ryan at the Chop House in Edwardsville. We got scruffy-looking Nerf herder Big Daddies
Who's my nerf herder?
Bill.
in Edwardsville. Pete Cryshock Project at Backstage, right there across from the Wild E, who's having night number 2 of the Tom Petty tribute, The Hard Promise. And then down in Granite City, well, sort of Granite City, I think they claim them, Pontoon Beach, right?
Well, yeah.
Brad Noe and Company, one of our favorite venues to mention, Deutsch Village Inn and
love
Pontoon
Deutsch.
Beach. Everybody we
too.
talk to says, man, those people listen to the music when you play it and get involved
I
in it.
love
So,
Deutsch,
yeah,
man.
it's not.
our hometown. It's one of our places we started. We're
Yeah.
doing our 420 show this year, by the way.
Nice. And Mike Pagano, another fine mayor down there in
Yeah.
Pontoon
Mike's
Beach. He's a partying guy.
Right.
Also, we got Jimmy G
Yeah, I was
Productions
gonna say.
presenting Merge 5 and Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Bordeaux. That's at the Old Herald Brewing Company. Still haven't made it out there. I got to get out that way. I do
They
not get to
got,
Collinsville enough.
Little indoor place they're doing stuff during the wintertime. So Old Harold Brewing in Collinsville, that's where Jimmy G is putting it on with Merv 5. Those guys are great. We've had them on, and Bordeaux, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Merge 5, man, they were so young, some of their parents had to drive them, man. Yeah.
For sure. So there you go. There's just some stuff happening on a Friday night. And we keep the entire list at cottonmouth.org. You can also find venues to play. If you're a band, you can find booking agents there. You can find places to get your music played on different internet radio stations and real radio stations. And so, yeah, it's just a source of information for musicians and people who like to follow music. So.
Oh, yeah. So you guys are doing this Sunday down at the mill, and what? So it's Spillie Nelson, High Idol.
Yeah.
Who else we got? A Hideous Gentleman,
Yeah.
and who else is from Granite?
Lofty's Common.
Oh, Lofty's Comet. There you go. Which those kids are awesome,
I'm
man.
really
I
happy to have
love.
them guys.
Yeah, I love those guys.
As you know, Gavin is a real close member of the Spillie family and plays a lot of stuff. You know, he plays a lot with a lot of bands, and he's got his own band, which is Lofty. That's his baby, and just to get him involved in anything, like, he's just a great guy. I mean, and Chance, I've known Chance, the guitar player, since he was young, because his dad's like family, and so it's just it's real sentimental for me to have him on. Because I just love Gavin to death, too.
Yeah,
Man. He's just a super
nice.
cool guy to work with.
And they've got a great view on music, man. They're very funky and very cool, man.
Yes.
So who else you want to give a shout out to, Andrew?
BC Glassworks over in St. Louis. My buddy Ben Cornwell's coming out. He's the guy that makes the marbles that look like planets and stuff on the inside.
If I ever get a glass eye, that's what I'm
Shout
getting.
out to him.
I will give a shout out, and I was a little tipsy at Fast Eddie's the other night.
That's all right. You got handsy,
handsy,
but I liked it.
So I was watching a band, and this guy came up to me, and I was wearing my brand new Spillie hoodie. And he said, "Is that a Spillie hoodie?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm vending for those guys at this festival that they're holding this weekend at the Mill and Granite." I said, "Oh, no kidding. What are you vending?" I don't remember. He gave me a card, but I was a little up there.
Right.
But I said, "Well, what do you vend?" And he said, "I make wire wraps and a few other things." And I was like, "That's something I've never bought, is a wire wrap." He has one.
They're cool.
They're really neat with the stones in them, and they're real intricate.
Right.
This man took the one off his neck and put it around my neck and gave it to me.
Nice.
Nice.
And,
nice
and he
one.
said, "It is yours," and it is super nice. It's got a piece of meteorite in it.
Wow.
So come and check him out. I can't remember
He'll be
his
the
name.
only wire wrapper there. Hold on, I can look.
It's-
He'll be the only wire wrapper there.
But I want to give love to that guy because nobody's ever given me something like that.
Right.
And that's something I'll hold near and dear to my heart forever.
That's a cool thing.
Nice,
Yeah.
And you know those vendors are out there trying to scrape up a little money. They're not. It's not like most of them are just killing it and going home in their private jets,
Right.
or
It's
whatever.
just like me
And
handing
so-
somebody a CD. Here
yeah.
you go,
So
check me out.
right when somebody hands you a piece of their art, you gotta. It's just love,
Yeah, for
So
sure.
Yeah,
I didn't know him from Adam.
Yeah.
He took it right off his neck. He goes, "I wasn't happy with it. I'm particular about the things I make." He goes, "I made it for me, and I'm just really not happy with it, but I think it fit you well, and I love it. I absolutely love it."
It's a nice one, man. I mean, like, I bought one years ago, and they've They've become more fond of them price-wise over the years because they've become more popular, of course.
Right.
But I got one that's probably like in the $500 or $600 range, and the one he's got, it's close to it, man.
Wow.
You know,
Nice.
it's a nice
Yeah,
piece.
nice.
I'll be wearing it Sunday. So.
And that's all you're going to wear Sunday, right?
Yeah, that's just that.
Just that.
Yep. And a sock. He said he's gonna mimic
Oh,
the
Red
sock
Hot
tour
Chili
from the Red Hot
Peppers,
Chili
yeah.
Peppers.
One
Yeah.
sock.
Sock. Yeah, only one sock.
I was
on his
wearing
right,
my,
on his left
On
ear.
his left ear.
I was wearing my
That's what we're
Spillie
talking
Nelson shirt. I was wearing my Spillie Nelson shirt when I went to see Ruby Lee right after she finished second on The Voice.
Yeah.
It was New Year's Eve. The guy running the door is like, You like Spillie Nelson? I'm like, oh yeah, man, oh yeah. He's like, I love those guys.
Oh, I thought he was profiling you.
He was a door guy?
Yeah, he was.
What did he look like?
I don't remember, but
Did
it
he have a
was
real big, long
sexy.
beard?
Legion
Sexy.
in Edwardsville.
The Legion in Edwardsville.
Yeah, so
That could have been our buddy Scott.
Yeah.
I was walking in a place with my Spillie shirt. I don't know, just Walmart, but the guy said, "You know Spillie?"
Get out.
He said, "You know Spillie?" I said, "I'm sleeping with the drummer."
He called it handsy. He said he got handsy the other day.
well, hopefully the listeners who haven't had a chance to see Spillie Nelson will get down to the mill on Sunday and check out the Granite PaLooza. And as we've been talking about, Hideous Gentleman, that's Jared Unfried that Josh mentioned earlier. He runs Alton Music Exchange,
Yes,
just
he
to
does.
tie the knot there. And Lofty's Comet, they've been on the show. High Idle Band, we tried to get them tonight, but they had band practice. That's way more important.
Oh yeah,
Way more
Right.
important.
it's the
So-
reason for the season.
but I would
Talking
say
about jamming's fun, but it's not as much fun as jamming.
check out their YouTube channel though. High,
Yeah, for
High
sure.
Idle
High
Band
Idle
on
Band. They do have
on
one, yeah.
YouTube. They got some nice videos there. Checking it out. So
They got some a lot of original content. They've come a long way. Those guys are all personal friends of mine. As a matter of fact, Chuck. Side note, Chuck. His name's Chuck Norris. I've talked to you.
right. I was going to use that joke.
We got past this.
No way.
We
That
got
is
past
really
this
his
last
name.
time I talked about him. He said one day, a side note to that, he said one day, he goes, I just put Chuck No on my business cards so nobody take me serious.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's one of the original members of the original Granite PaLooza bands.
Oh.
Nice.
Also, Spillie Nelson. He wrote a few.
He's
songs
also
with Josh.
one of the original members of Spillie Nelson too. So
Okay.
that's how close High Idle Band is to us. Plus, Kevin, the drummer's my cousin, and Ben Holloman, the guitar player, the
We've
other
been in
guitar
many
player.
bands with
I've
him.
known him for years. He's played in many. He was in the original Granite PaLooza.
Well, shout out to Chuck Norris's parents for having a sense of humor when they named him. They knew their last name was Norris. You got a name like that, you better have like a fist ready to come out of your beard and hit somebody or
I
something.
don't quote me on this completely because he might correct me. I can already hear him maybe, but something happened where he had like a ChuckNorris.com.
and a cease
man.
and desist.
And
came.
they sent him a cease and desist
Oh,
letter.
wow.
Like, you can't do that because Chuck Norris owns the rights to the name Chuck Norris.
But
he's
it's my name. He said.
He's like, really?
Right. Look,
Wow.
in the words of former President Joe Biden, you do not have the right to use my name on your dojo. Anyway, so to ChuckNorris.com. That is awesome, man. I would put up so much bad material now. So Chuck Norris from Granite City. Whew, that is awesome to hear that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know Stallone's also from Granite.
Yeah, he was a steel worker.
Right.
My grandma used to sell his grandma bread.
We wrote a few songs with him too. Didn't we?
Yeah, back in the day, I think a guy named Jerry Garcia lived next door.
He used to work at the transmission shop down the road,
Down
man.
the road.
Yeah.
He's one of they call the knuckle bumper.
Oh, dude, I was in the knuckle bumpers for like just the one summer tour, man. It was pretty fun, man. Anyway, so let's quit calling it just Granite PaLooza and let's call it the return of Granite PaLooza.
The return of Granite PaLooza.
The return of the son of Granite
That
PaLooza.
absolutely should have been in the title. The return of Granite PaLooza should have definitely been. And you need to sit at the table next time we start thinking. You know what I mean?
Well, I usually don't let me at the big kids table. At the adult table, so hey, man, I'm so happy to see this going on because since I've met you, there's been simpatico. Obviously, like you say, when you hang out with someone who does music, there's a little bit of simpatico because there's this thing you do together. But in addition, you're throwing festivals. Simpatico there. I mean, I was right off the bat working with you guys. As a sound crew, throwing. Always loved working with you. Did the open mic night for how long?
Well, 2.5 years.
For 2.5 years did the open mic night at the conservatory. Which man,
that's tonight, by the way, 7:30.
He already looked at me and was like, "We're gonna go by."
Yeah.
So we probably are going to stop by and say hi.
And you made the joke about following childhood dreams still. It has been, since Garcia died, it started becoming my dream to just have a place to throw parties that were reminiscent of that, which, they did Further Fest right after that, and everyone was like, it's not very good. But you have actually got closer than me, where you bought the campground and got, other than the neighbors.
Well, I would never say that, because I've been at some of your festivals. I played a couple of them, and I've been in like peak vibe
that family
at your
fest
festivals,
at Lake
dude.
Sarah with the stage like this.
Oh yeah.
And we kicked it with Circo, and they still talk about that day. Like, we had a jam by the fire with you guys. We never play acoustic. We did something that night. That
you were part of the molding process of my idea of like how things should operate. So you very much can take some credit for a lot of this.
I remember your guys' reaction to that festival vividly. Like, you guys were so excited to be there.
I met a lot of cool people from that particular one.
And then who was it? Who was it? Terrapin Flyer?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
with
Flyer with
Price?
Tom
Or with Melvin?
Melvin Seals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Melvin Seals there.
Year before, yeah.
Yeah, Melvin Seals.
Man.
I mean, and that was just amazing, man. And to be honest, I looked for a place to throw a festival for years, and 2 hours away, that was the only one that checked all the boxes that I was really looking for.
Yep.
I would love to go back to that place again, because it is it's a long way from home, and it's hard
Lake
to throw
Sarah,
hard to throw a party 2 hours from home when you're dragging gear there for 3 days to make it happen,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
But it was a fabulous place, and man, we were so happy to have you guys be part of the family.
Oh yeah, man.
Because again, simpatico, like-minded people that are we're all here for a good time. We're all trying to do this thing with artists and vendors. And
my first thought of family, to me, and what it was, I was like, did they misspell something?
Yeah.
No,
I didn't understand that it meant friends and family. I was like,
freaks and
family.
family, freaks and
Or
family,
freaks and
I'm
family.
just
For
kidding.
even I didn't realize it had all these layers like an onion. I was just like, family. That sounds like
a made-up word.
They took Hooked on Phonics and failed.
Yeah, right. Well,
and it had a tree in the background. Remember? And I was like, and then I went to it, and I was like, oh. It for some reason dawned on me what it meant. I was like, okay, I get it now.
It's hard to find a website that's not taken. You have to make up your own words.
Or a name.
Or a name.
Like Chuck Norris. Some dude took that. Who would have known?
Thunk it?
I know. And apparently, he could show up and make sure you got rid of that name.
Hey,
I mean, he's one of those guys. Right?
Yeah, apparently. He doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth down, apparently.
Right. I still think Clint Eastwood could take him.
Yeah, maybe in his prime. Back in, like, Risky, or what was that? The one with the orangutan? Back in them days.
Turn right, Clyde.
Not now, though.
We were talking about the open mic at the conservatory tonight at 7:30. There's a guy that moved here from St. Louis that's been putting on a little festival of arts every month down at the conservatory for quite some time now. And Coolaverse is happening this Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
he's at Granite PaLooza, too, by the way.
Oh, yes, Coolaverse is that just changed everything. That just changed everything.
That guy's just so we're so lucky that he decided to move over to this town, because he is just full of amazing art, full of great ideas, and I have not been around that guy once where I thought, well, this is no fun.
He's a hustler too, man. Like, he ain't messing around.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to do this, and he does it. You know what I mean? It's not like, unlike me, where I'm like, you know what? In my mind, I've done so many cool things.
Upstairs, I
just can't quite execute it all. You know what I mean?
So I got some property kind of around the corner from your place there, and he showed up at it this summer. He was looking for a trailer. I said, dude, I got like 2 or 3 trailers on this property. Come look. And he picked one that had like a tree growing through it and all kinds of stuff, and I'm thinking it ain't been moved since for a while.
You want that one?
And I got it. I understood why he wanted it, but I'm like, dude, this is going to take a while to get this thing out. He goes, no, it won't. And he ran out to his van and grabbed his Sawzall. Within 30 minutes, we had that thing pulled out, tires aired up, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, this guy's a hustler.
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
And me and him, just like with you, simpatico, the first time we worked together, because he said the same. He's like, wow, you and your crew work hard to make stuff happen. And it's like, well, if you want a big party to happen, it doesn't just happen by wishing it. No. It's going to take a lot of work and money. The bigger the party, the more work and the more money it takes. Look here, you cog knocker. Who's my cog knocker? Right on.
So Saturday night, Coolaverse night. His featured artist is Charles Mooneyham. They're going to have a live painting and vending by Stephen Scordius and Kimberlyn Renee. So I always wanted to see a live painting. That sounds cool.
You're talking about Coolaverse still.
Right.
So have you guys seen the Miles Davis mural down there?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so the guy that did that's Eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's from St. Louis, and he goes to a lot of the festivals that we go to. That's why we met him. Pete
He'll
Walliger.
be at Granite PaLooza as well.
Okay, so
Nice.
So
Awesome.
I told Mr. Snyder, Coolaverse, about Eyes. Like when me and you were doing open mic, I think I was like, because he had the featured artist here at the conservatory,
right,
once a month. I said, you need to get Pete down here because he has stuff that you could put on the wall. And you guys need to collaborate. And then, a month ago, he put that mural down there and they collaborated, and I was just like, heck yeah, man.
Nice. And man, what a
so shout out to Eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. And a mural of Miles Davis is
it's animated if you go to a certain app too.
There's an app that you can
There's an app you download and you point your app to that, and Miles Davis will start playing live on your phone.
Yeah.
Apps. So those little games on your computer that you play while you're driving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or in the bathroom.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Or in the bathroom.
So I mean, the statue of Miles Davis, the mural of Miles Davis, only decades overdue, but so happy to see that finally happening, because there's so much in, like we were talking about, the music scene and the art scene in this town. There are a lot of great artists like Coolaverse, a lot of great musicians in this little river town, and it's cool to see. The fact that we are home of Miles Davis, home of Bonnie Bramlett, who touched rock and roll in ways beyond hardly anybody, and I can't wait to see where we're heading next, because the more people like you guys that come on this scene, and the more Granite City people that move down here, the better our scene gets. No, I'm just, stake that Mike Parkinson. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah,
we're going to take Scott and Michelle next.
Man, them guys are awesome too. Shout out to them, Scott and Michelle, for sure.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And Granite, continues to come up with more and more venues. I mean, every week we're like, oh, there's another venue.
Yeah.
There's another venue.
Well,
so
we were talking earlier about Mike Parkinson taking me on a little tour of the mill. I mean, this sometimes I'm just stupid, right? I mean, okay, all the time I'm stupid. Sometimes not. Yeah, right. Sometimes I even more. He took me down there with the idea of doing a festival, and I couldn't understand in my mind. All I could see was, ooh, let's take Framley Fest here, right? Because that's where my head was.
Right.
And I didn't even understand the possibilities of what that town had to offer in the downtown area to throw a festival, especially now that the mill's open. So they've done it. Mardi with Mardi Gras, now the return of Granite PaLooza after all these years. It's almost like Mississippi Riverfest coming back there.
Mardi Gras in Warden. The only
Mardi
place
Gras,
you
Mardi
can go
Gras,
to.
yeah, Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Just Mardi
Just
Gras.
want to straighten that out.
Mardi Gras.
And they've been doing that a long time.
We've
and
almost
that's
played a Mardi Gras a couple years ago.
Man, that's one heck of a party up there. I mean, everybody comes.
Yeah, I've been to one, and I was looking for a couple people, and I never found them.
Right.
And to not
Never
find somebody
found
in a town that size is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to avoid someone in a town
It's only
that
like
size.
3 circus tents. What are you talking about?
Right.
There's like
That was
6
that many
million
people.
people.
Yeah.
And Granite's been doing that Mardi Gras now for a few years. So I mean,
it's
I
getting
think
big, man.
I think it's going to get bigger and
Oh,
bigger.
absolutely.
That's the hopes of Granite PaLooza, is we can make this an annual thing, and it can grow. The community can grow with it. And
Yeah.
So
I believe it will, man. You've got the right people behind something like that, and the right what it takes, I think, to make a festival or any event really go is you have to have the right venue, that the people who own the venue truly want this to work too. They're not working against you, they're working with you.
That's a true story, man.
You got to have the right crew.
You got to have the right crew, and you got to be able to delegate, man.
Yeah.
You can't act like you can handle everything all by yourself too. You know what I mean?
And even if you don't want to, like Marshall's told me a few times, he's like, "Gosh, I try to do this, but it's like I'm doing it by myself." You know, because he would tell me how envious he was of me having a crew of 15 people that are all, someone's taking care of the gate, someone's taking care of this.
Yeah, that's important.
And when you got the right crew, the right venue, and the right attitude, it's hard to sink that ship, bro. Hard to sink that ship of fools.
You got Billy Joel down there on Saturday at the mill.
I've seen that.
Well, sometimes a fantasy, Billy Joel tribute.
Well,
happening
let's
at the
just
mill.
admit that he should be William Joel or Bill Joel by this age.
Hey,
Billy's just a kid.
That place is getting attention too, because we did a little run, we did a little ad with them, and we threw a couple bucks at it. I think our budget was a couple $100 or something for marketing, and we threw some of it at the Facebook ad, and we had over 40,000 views on that commercial.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
So they're paying attention.
Wow.
There's people paying attention to the mills.
Oh,
That
yeah.
place is
Nice.
getting attention. You know what I mean?
Well, and they're just like the Wild E up in Edwardsville, lots of tribute acts. And when I got into throwing festivals, I had successful festival throwers tell me, dude, if you really want to do something, do tribute acts. It's like if you want to make money to get started, because you live off the name of the band they're tributing, but you don't pay that kind of price for them, And I get it, but I was just a little more into the idea of original music. Okay, guy JGB. That's sort of a tribute band to Garcia, but it was with Melvin Seals, man. So
Grateful Dead was a tribute band.
they
so-
were the greatest cover band ever, as far as I was concerned.
Hey, let's hit a few more Saturdays before
Absolutely.
we roll out of here. We talked about Coolaverse going on down there at the Conservatory on Saturday. We got Naked Soul and All Mixed Up at Fast Eddie's. We got Back in the Saddle out at Baker's and Hale and Godfrey. And we got Champagne Fix at the Pump House in Wood River. Here's some Granite City guys. Flipside playing Chico's in Wood River on Saturday. And taking place down in Granite City at Pavia's Place, you got Blake Foltz. You got Pete Krychak Project at Hooch and 16 in Granite, and Toxic Johnny playing Pontoon Beach, Deutz Village Inn. And here's some of the venues that, I see the Imperial Pub starting to do things now as the downtown pub. And, there's other places that we've noticed, Route 66 Kickstand in Granite City, Neighborhood Social Club doing music down there, Speakeasy in Granite City. So, more and more venues popping up down there in Granite.
And Jacob Myers reopened, right?
That's right. Jacob
they
Myers doing more. Yeah.
Nice.
So, and we're just scratching the surface there. So, a lot of that'll fire back up more in the summertime. So, but Sunday is what we're talking about now, and that's at the mill with all the guys from Spillie Nelson's entire history playing at one time.
Yep.
So, there's probably going to be a jam session before it's all done.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And that Fleetwood slot's getting filled up.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Hey, so you talked about your buddy Chuck Norris getting a cease and desist from Chuck Norris.
Well, from his
So we Rogers and Nienhouse is playing Bakers and Hale and Godfrey on Sunday, and Terry Rogers has been sued by David Crosby 4 times now, or something like that. Yeah, David Crosby keeps suing Terry Rogers because a tribute to the bird, or celebration of the birds.
Right.
Don't say birds. I own the word birds.
Right.
And oddly enough, Crosby wasn't even an original member of the Birds. Michael Clark, I believe, came up with that. But anyway, yeah, he's been sued 4 times now by Crosby, which I'm trying to sue Crosby for something.
right. You know what? I'm gonna sue him for something too.
I'm gonna
I
sue
just
him
got to find out what.
for screwing up Crosby, Stills, and name. No,
Yeah.
just kidding me. We all know Graham Nash did that. Let's not fool ourselves.
They got Lance Griggs down at Deutz Village Inn on Sunday from 2 to 6. And at the same time, Granite PaLooza starts at 2 o'clock. And as we mentioned, a music, crafts, and arts festival with Hideous Gentlemen, Lofty's Comet, High Idol Band, and Spillie Nelson. And is that still a ticketed event?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's all ages. It's $20 a person. I mean, I would imagine that like 3 and under or something is probably free or something. I don't know. But there's going to be all kinds of stuff for the kids to do
But
too.
you're going to need to show an ID to prove
Right,
you're under
We're going to
3.
need ID. If you show up with a diaper bag and you're trying to get your dad in for free, that's not going to work.
Yeah. Hey, what if my dad has a diaper bag? No.
Well, that might cost a little bit more.
What do you get? What's the price with a colostomy?
Oh, so you don't need to use the bathroom? Well, that's $15.
We got a Fighting Illini coming up. Pigpen here in just a moment.
We actually got to get out in time. That's a rarity. Usually we go
They'll
well
just kick
over.
us off if we don't.
They absolutely will. Hey, thanks, guys, so much for coming
for
down
having
and
us, buddy. We
talking to
appreciate
us.
you.
Best of luck on Sunday at the Mills. Everybody get down to the Mills for
buddy.
the return of Granite PaLooza.
I'm going to wait here till they kick us off.
Thanks to our sponsors, Halpin Music
I mean, because we
Company.
got a back time anyways.
Thanks to Matt Van
You remember how to do that? It's been a while.
Yeah, I got to start talking real slow.
You got 30 seconds, I think, now. If that clock's right.
Matt
Granite PaLooza Sunday, 2 o'clock at the Mill in Granite City with Spillie Nelson and Hideous Gentleman. Lofty's Comet.
High Idol band.
Billy
Idol.
Walker, DJ
Very high,
BK.
very high idol.
Hey, everybody, get
Chuck Norris is in
Chuck
that band.
Norris.
Chuck Norris's will be there.
whatever you do, get to Granite City, the Mills, and get out and support local music and art.
Yep.
So what happens now?
I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Oh, I think you gotta halt this thing. Oh, there. Let's try that.